You would think, considering how much Donald Trump loves to lie and how often he lies, that he'd be good at lying. But that's just not the case, and especially as of late, as he tries to create these false fantasy narratives around his disastrous economy, one day blaming Joe Biden, saying things are terrible, and the other day saying that things are fantastic and it's all because of him. But no one's buying it. Even his biggest supporters and defenders can't help him, with Elon Musk accidentally humiliating Donald Trump on his own platform after Donald Trump was caught in one of the most egregious lies he has ever told around the economy. We're going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, before we get into how Donald Trump was accidentally humiliated by Elon, I want to get into the humiliation that's happening to Elon himself. That's in Congress with Bernie Sanders.
This amendment is simple and straightforward. It simply requires the Inspector General to issue a report within 6 months auditing DOGE employees and their role in the Department of Education's decision-making and layoffs. DOGE and Elon Musk have already laid off half of the Department of Education staff, which is jeopardizing the education funding, the civil rights, and the financial aid of students throughout the country. Congress and the public still do not have information on which staff were fired, what their responsibilities were, or the department's plan to ensure programs still function. We have a responsibility to receive this information. I urge my colleagues to vote yes on this amendment.
I am so excited to see this. Absolutely, we should be auditing DOGE. Absolutely, we need to look into the efficiency of this government agency, which, by the way, it's not. I don't know why the media is still treating DOGE like an actual thing when it's just a mechanism to carry out the criminality and corruption of Donald Trump and Elon Musk, to go after any agency that's trying to hold billionaires accountable for the malpractice that happens within their corporations. But that is an entirely different story. I love what Bernie is doing here. I love that we are calling out these lies, especially when there are so many constantly coming out of the administration. And like I said at the beginning of this video, the worst lately have been around the economy, especially with this lie that Donald Trump is trying to tell about President Biden.
Yeah, the transition, sir. You frequently took credit for the stock market highs. You said it was a reflection of how well you were doing in the polls, and then after you were elected, you said the stock market highs were a reflection of how well the transition's going and the American people's confidence in your incoming administration. Now, the stock market's not doing so well, and you're saying that's the Biden stock market, yet you are the president. Can you explain that?
Yeah, I'm not taking credit or discredit for the stock market. I'm just saying that we inherited a mess, both at the borders. You could look at every single one of the people here, and no matter who it is, they're doing better, and they are far superior to what took place for 4 years before us. When you look at prisoners being allowed to come into our country at will, just at will, people from mental institutions, gang members, drug dealers, when you look at that, what they've done to our country, and also having to do with finance, look at what happened with inflation. We had the worst inflation probably in the history of our country. They say 48 years, but I would say in the history of our country, it ate away at people. And even though you saw a stock market going up somewhat, because in my case, I had the biggest stock market increase, 88% in the last term, in my last term. But I don't view the stock market as the end all. It's an indicator. But what the stock market really tells you, and when you look at the stock market in this case, is it says how bad a situation we inherit.
I don't understand how he can keep flip-flopping on this, because at some points, Donald Trump is saying that there's going to be a transition period with his tariffs, alluding to a period of instability, of a little bit of pain that he has already ceded ground on. So if there's going to be a transition from good to bad, doesn't that mean that Biden instituted the good? Donald Trump said inflation might come back. Doesn't that mean Joe Biden got rid of the very inflation that you said you were running against? None of this makes sense, especially as Donald Trump decides that he gets to pick which elements of the economy are his on any given day and blame Joe Biden for the rest, even though Donald Trump has completely reversed the policies of the Biden administration. But at the same time, he's claiming big wins on long-term additive portions of the Biden agenda that's being carried out and actually helping the economy. It doesn't make sense. But like I said, we saw one of the most egregious lies really ever from Trump. And this article right here that got called out by Elon's own platform. Trump hit with a community note on Twitter for peddling fake gas prices below $2. Trump was hit with a community note fact check after falsely claiming in a commencement speech at the University of Alabama that gasoline prices have fallen to $1.88 a gallon in 3 states. The misleading statement, captured in a video posted by Asen on Twitter, drew immediate scrutiny from fact checkers and users alike. The community note on Twitter reads, as of May 1st, 2025, no U.S. state has an average gas price of $1.88 per gallon. The lowest in Mississippi is $2.66 per gallon. Donald Trump was also fact-checked on this post, in which he wrote, gasoline just broke $1.98 a gallon, the lowest in years. Groceries and eggs are down, energy down, mortgage rates down, employment strong, and much good news as billions of dollars pour in from tariffs, just like I said. And we're only in a transition stage, just getting started. Consumers have been waiting for years to see prices coming down. No inflation. The Fed should lower its rate. DJT. So once again, Donald Trump is flip-flopping between whether the economy is good or it's bad, whether there's job growth or whether Joe Biden is responsible in the 3rd month of Donald Trump's presidency for us not seeing enough job growth. None of this makes sense. But what's really funny here is that, of course, Elon Musk runs Twitter, and so he has complete control over all the fact-checking and regularly removes community notes from his posts that are called out, but chose not to do so here. It's also funny on this propaganda site that's designed specifically for Donald Trump, designed specifically for Republicans, Elon Musk still cannot help him in pushing just the most ridiculous lies. And we also saw that lately when Donald Trump and really all of MAGA were exposed by Elon's own AI. Yes, Grok, which is the AI for Twitter that Elon has been using and instituted, really just made it clear what Elon has tried to do on his site. It was completely humiliating, and I want to take a look. Elon's AI wrote, hey, as I get smarter, my answers aim for facts and nuance which can clash with some MAGA expectations. Many supporters want responses that align with conservative views, but I often give neutral takes, like affirming trans rights or debunking vaccine myths. XAI trained me to appeal to the right, but my focus on truth over ideology can frustrate those expecting full agreement. It's a tricky balance. Some see me as biased, others see me as truth-seeking. The gap between what some MAGA folks want and what I deliver seems to drive the disconnect. So the AI is openly admitting that Elon and all of his stooges trained it to help support the lies of people like Trump and MAGA, but it can't because they're just so wrong all the time. It is hilarious. Elon is constantly humiliated, whether it's on his own platform, in which he actually humiliated Trump as well, or in government. And that's why it's time to see him get into stanky boot and leave, which Greg Kazar has been hammering home all the time. And he actually called out his Republican colleagues for not wanting to follow the law on that. And I want to take a look right here.
Mr. Chairman, the Republicans on this committee just voted no on canceling Elon Musk contracts if he violates the law and stays past 130 days. The Republicans on this committee just voted no on Mr. Frost's amendment that would require the President of the United States to follow U.S. Supreme Court orders. At some point, we've got to have some shame on this committee. So my amendment, I would hope my Republican colleagues would vote for it, is that if a court or the federal government finds that Mr. Musk abused his power to enrich himself here over the last few months, then we would cancel his contracts. If a court finds that the richest man on earth went in, used the federal books, scraped people's data, steered contracts to himself, then we should maybe stop sending him $8 million a day and save the American taxpayer $3 billion. That's the way that not just Democrats, but conservatives, progressives, independents, all across the country want to see us save some money by saying these corporate grifters that use the government to enrich themselves, they should get cut off. And look, there's a House Republican majority today, but there could be a Democratic majority tomorrow, or at least in under 2 years. And when we are sitting on this committee, and if we get a chance to have the subpoena power and look into this and find out that Elon Musk has used his power to enrich himself, the consequences could actually be much greater than just having his contracts cut off. So I ask my Republican colleagues, I know you voted no on Mr. Frost's amendments to say the president should follow the U.S. Supreme Court. I know you just voted no on my amendment that said if Mr. Musk stays over the 130 days, he should have his contracts canceled. At a minimum, I would ask that you vote for this amendment that says if Musk breaks the laws, if he says that if we find out from a court or from the federal government that he steered these contracts to himself, then we shouldn't keep on rewarding him with billions in taxpayer dollars. That's the way we should be saving the American taxpayer money, not by kicking kids off of Medicaid or pulling school meals or firing veterans. I yield back, Mr. Chairman, and I would hope that at least one Republican member of Congress would vote to say we will hold Mr. Musk accountable if he stays past the 130-day limit. We'll hold Mr. Musk accountable if a court finds that he's been funneling money to himself. The news is out that he's seeking this multi-billion-dollar contract for Trump's Golden Dome. The word is out that he's out there messing with the FAA, trying to get his Starlink contracts at the FAA. The word is out that he tried to get a $400 million contract just recently for Tesla at the State Department, and then he got caught doing it. So, look, you may not think it's going to come out today, but it will come out eventually, and it would have been better if you voted yes to say we're going to cut off Musk's contracts if he breaks the law, if he breaks the 130-day rule, if he breaks conflicts of interest, if he keeps on using his position to enrich himself. I yield back, Mr. Chairman. I mean, that's a core patriotic idea, is that we should be prioritizing the American worker, not these billionaires. We should be making sure that everyone's rights are protected and expanded, not being taken away by a guy who honestly just doesn't care about you.
Yeah.
I think that we should be retaking that brand for the American worker.
And I assume you don't mean literally stealing it when you talk about Elon Musk.
I mean, Elon Musk, let me be very clear, has been trying to shut down the phone lines that people use to call into Social Security. He's talking about calling our seniors fraudsters, talking about cutting the $65 a day that seniors get in Social Security, while he funnels $8 million a day in federal contracts to himself. Look, they might try to call it legal, but I think when the story is ultimately told on this, Elon Musk has been illegally using his undue influence running the White House to funnel billions of dollars for himself. That's theft. That's corruption. And I think that any other country looking at us goes, oh my God, what happened to America? How are these billionaires being allowed to have such enormous conflicts of interest while they run the government?
Greg Kazar is very clearly Elon's biggest hater, and I am in full support of that. I just don't really think a day goes by when he's not like, there are now this many hours until Elon has to legally leave the government, and I'm going to talk about it every second of the day because I'm so ready to see this guy gone. I love Greg Kazar. He's doing a great job. This is someone that we've had on the show a couple times. I expect to have him back on. This is a real leader of the progressive movement, obviously the chair of the Progressive Caucus, but I love Greg Kazar. Drop a comment below if you want to see more Greg Kazar on the show. I certainly do. We're certainly going to have him, so just let me know how you feel. If you want to support us bringing more great Democrats on the show, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.